Heading into the January transfer window, the problems Arsenal face are very similar to those in the summer. Following their FA Cup final triumph in August, there was a clear agenda for the coming transfer window. In defense, Arteta needed another left-sided centre-back to challenge Pablo Mari. In midfield, Arsenal needed a creative midfielder, a supporting midfielder, and a box-to-box option. Finally, Arsenal needed to offload current players if they wanted to acquire quality new players in each of these positions. Now, some of those needs were filled, but two of them have yet to be truly addressed. Arsenal got their much-needed left-sided centre-back in Gabriel, arguably Arsenal's player of the season so far. Their box-to-box midfielder in Thomas Partey, who's shown signs of brilliance, and a supporting midfielder in Loney Dani Ceballos. And while Willian arrived from Chelsea as a creative option, he has failed to meet expectations. So, in conclusion, Arsenal are somewhat back to square one, still looking for a creative midfielder to drive their season forward. And yet, there's a twist, because to acquire the creative midfielder Arsenal so desperately needs, they need to first offload certain players to get their wages off the books. With the January window now upon us, this leads us to our question: what should we expect from Arsenal Football Club this window? There are a few different routes Arsenal can go in search for a creative midfielder. As reported by David Ornstein of The Athletic, in early December, Arsenal were interested in Dominik Szoboszlai, who had a €25 million release clause from RB Salzburg. While Szoboszlai had the physical and technical attributes that appealed, Arsenal had concerns over whether he'd be able to make an immediate impact in England. Ultimately, the relationship between the two Red Bull clubs, Salzburg and Leipzig, was what decided Szoboszlai's destination. In the summer, Arsenal were also interested in Lyon midfielder Houssem Aouar. Aouar can play as both a number 8 and number 10, with the ability to glide upfield with the ball and unpick defenses. Currently, however, there's been no indication Arsenal are willing to reignite their interests during this transfer window, especially after Aouar publicly claimed he was happy to stay in France earlier this season. For Arsenal, signing him in January appears highly unlikely. With all this in mind, it means no Aouar and no Szoboszlai. So, who exactly can Arsenal sign? Option 1. Julian Brandt. As reported once again by David Ornstein of The Athletic, Arsenal have considered making a move for Julian Brandt this transfer window. The German midfielder has had quite an underwhelming season at Borussia Dortmund, despite enjoying a strong finish to the previous campaign. Last season, Brandt joined Dortmund for €25 million. With 7 goals and 13 assists in all competitions last season, it was expected that Brandt would kick on this year. However, Dortmund's indifferent form this season has coincided with a drop-off from the 24-year-old. It's now being reported that Dortmund has set a €25 million price tag for the German midfielder and no longer consider him an untouchable asset. If Brandt were to join Arsenal, he could play as both a number 8 or number 10. Last season, however, Brandt thrived playing in the number 8 role when Dortmund made the tactical switch to a 3-4-3 formation, which saw the German midfielder linking up play all over the midfield. Ideally, if Arsenal signed Brandt, they would make the switch to a 4-3-3 formation and play both Brandt and Partey with Xhaka sitting in behind. At this point in time, it's still very unlikely that Arsenal would sign the German midfielder this window. However, as we know, things can change very fast in football, especially this season. Come the end of the window, Arsenal may just feel that a player like Brandt is a must-sign one. The second option, which is my preferred option, would be signing Emiliano Buendia. Firstly, what I like about Buendia is that he comes with Premier League experience. As we've seen with players like Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, the transition from the Bundesliga to the Premier League is not always as easy. Buendia, however, has 3 years of experience in English football, and more importantly, a year in the Premier League. But not just any year, a very good year. Despite Norwich's relegation last season, Buendia created the 4th most chances in the Premier League, behind only Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Alongside this, Buendia made a club-high 82 tackles, 31 more than any other Nords player and the 6th highest for all Premier League midfielders. Furthermore, his influence has continued into this season. He's created the most chances from open play in the championship, scored 7 goals, contributed 6 assists, while all being the leader in Norwich high press. Statistically speaking, Buendia would be the perfect fit for Arsenal. But does he fit into the system? The answer is yes. Although last season Buendia was used primarily as a right winger, this season he's drifted into central areas much more often than in his previous 2 seasons. In Arsenal's current state, where they rotate between the use of a 3-4-3 formation or a 4-2-3-1, Buendia could be utilized in both systems effectively. Furthermore, his defensive work rate could even see him transform into a number 8 and play a Santi Cazorla-like role. If Arsenal were to sign anyone this window, my preference would be that Buendia is their choice. The question is now, will any of this happen? To be honest, it's very early to say. As reported by Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are primarily using this window to offload players. Already, we've seen Kolasinac join Schalke, Saliba head to Nice, while both Socrates and Ozil are now being heavily linked with moves away from the club. If Arsenal are to make any signings this window, they'll need to move on both Ozil and Socrates. Then, there's the matter of coming up with the funds to buy either Brandt or Buendia. At one point in time, there was discussion for Arsenal to attempt to make a loan move, specifically with Real Madrid midfielder Isco. However, since the emergence of Emile Smith-Rowe, it looks more and more unlikely that Arsenal would bring in a temporary replacement that would only hinder Smith-Rowe's development. Overall, there will be a lot of moving pieces this transfer window. It's a big one for both Arteta and Edu, who are looking to improve this poor start to the season. If Arsenal can build on their current form with a returning Partey and a potential January signing, a spot in the top 4 is not yet lost. Don't get me wrong, it'll be hard, but if there's anything this season has proved thus far, nothing is crazy, especially for Arsenal.